Hi, hello, welcome back. This is another bonus video. It doesn't really matter for you because like my bonus videos don't have a regular upload schedule, so anything could be a bonus video. But in case you weren't aware, it's every Monday I film a video that's just in the moment so I can somewhat stay up to date with topics. Sometimes it'll be a movie roundup, which I can post whenever I want. But sometimes I like to sort of talk about things that are kind of in the moment because then it forces me to edit them within the next few days. And today I'm going to be talking about a new Doctor Who event story they've announced called Time Lord Victorious. Now, these things happen quickly. So I'll just give you a timeline. Today is Monday. Yesterday, which was Sunday, quite late in the day. I want to say like 7 or 8 o'clock, I think. Maybe not much earlier than that. They were just like, in the evening, they were just like, oh, by the way, tomorrow at 12, Time Lord Victorious. And that's all we knew is that's what it was called. There was a little sort of clip of the title, and the Victorious bit was cracking. There was like a bit of music to go with it, and they posted it on like all social medias. Big Finish, the official Doctor Who, and we were just like, okay, what is this? We all were like, okay, it's probably gonna have the 10th Doctor in it, because Time Lord Victorious is kind of his thing. But the font is very Series 5, and also there's a crack in it, so we were kind of thinking maybe it's gonna be 10 meets 11 or something like that. And then that's all we knew. And then I woke up at 20 to 12 in the morning, so I didn't have to wait very long today to figure out what it was. And all they've announced is that it's a multimedia event. They've got a poster with it, which sort of shows off a few of the things that will be in it, and they've got a list of all the companies that are involved. So I guess I'll just go over that. So multimedia storytelling is it's a somewhat new thing in that it's not been on this bigger scale really before. And it's basically where you have one story that's told through loads of different mediums, or just loads of different series. It doesn't have to be different mediums. Like for example, I said the sort of the I don't know if it'd be originator, because considering how elaborate this is going to be, I feel like they probably have been planning this for a while at the BBC. Which makes me wonder why they haven't saved this for like next year, because that's going to be when we're probably not going to have any Doctor Who now. So I'm a bit confused why they're doing it this year. Maybe they'll do one next year as well. Who knows? But Star Wars announced, must have been late last year or early this year, Order of the High Republic, which is basically it's gonna be a story or a series going through loads of different companies, and I think for the majority it's comics, but there's also like a few other like books as well. But it's all that kind of thing. It's all sort of comic adjacent stuff. But there's going to be loads of different series by loads of different companies, and they're not all going to be like, you don't have to get all of them. They're going to be different stories with different characters, but they're all kind of in one overarching storyline, and I'm sure if you read all of them, although there's a lot of them, so it'd be very expensive, and it's an ongoing series for God knows how long, so that's a lot of money you're spending, but like you'll probably get more rewarded by, looking at all of them. There's probably little references to other ones, and, you're rewarded for spending your hard-earned money. And in Star Wars, what they're going to do is basically, whichever ones are the most popular, they're then going to translate into films, which also basically confirms that the next major... I'm assuming they'll probably do another trilogy, because that's just kind of a Star Wars thing, but the next Star Wars films are going to be set way back. So, like, forget the sequel trilogy, forget the originals, forget the prequels. This is going to be ages ago, as a way to distance themselves from everything and kind of start anew. So that is, I would say, sort of the originator of this trend. I say it's a trend because all I've known of doing it is Star Wars and now Doctor Who, so I'm not sure if it's yet become a big thing. But I kind of get, it makes sense from a marketing perspective and, money perspective. Now this, people are going to be more likely to buy all these different mediums they wouldn't have necessarily bought before, because they're like, oh, I have to get the whole story. Someone gave an estimate. I'm still not going to get into the meat of this yet. I'm trying to, like, structure this somewhat. Someone gave, like, an estimate based on the information we know of how much it will probably cost minimum to get everything. And that's £250, which is a lot. It's a lot. But, on the other hand, it is going to be one event. However, when it was a minimum, it was very much a minimum. It could be a lot higher than £250. And I think it was Scott Hancock, sort of reassured him, was like, there's going to be different series, so let's say you just want to get the audiobooks. they're going to have their own storyline, but then obviously you don't have to get all the other shit to understand it. But if you do get the other shit, you can perhaps be rewarded, and you might have a better understanding of what's going on in the audio story. So again, it's called Time Lord Victorious. It's basically Order of the High Republic, which is, there's going to be lots of different things, and you can get some of them, you don't have to get all of them, but if you get all of them, you can be rewarded, because you'll understand what's going on. However, what's interesting is Order of the High Republic was like a big announcement. It was like a big sort of live announcement video thing. This, all we've literally got is a picture and the companies involved. So I'll go over the big poster for it, which I will say is very beautiful. The art is by Lee Binding, I think, who's, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you probably know who that is. Like, he has amazing art for the show. But it's got the main character on it is the 10th Doctor in Gallifreyan garb. It looks kind of president-y to me, because it's got the seal of Rassilon on the collar, so it kind of looks like a president's robe, but it is a bit more dishevelled, and it's from the End of Time, the picture they've used to create this, because it's obviously, there's no picture of him in that outfit, they've had to edit it together. They've used him from the End of Time when he has the scars on his face after he falls through the skylight. So it's like, in this story, we at least know the 10th Doctor's going to go through some shit. Because he's got some scars, his clothes and his collar are a bit destroyed, so who knows. And we kind of predicted that. I think a lot of people saying yesterday, like, alternate timeline 10th Doctor, post Waters of Mars, which is basically what this is looking like it's going to be. However, this also reveals it is going to be a multi-Doctor story, but not the multi-Doctor story we were expecting. I was expecting maybe 10, 11, and 13, because I thought the music for the video was very 13. It seemed like 13th Doctor music. But no, it's 8, 9, and 10. So 8 on here, on the Doctor's right, on the 10th Doctor's right, and 9 on the 10th Doctor's left. They're actually both also new. The 9th Doctor's jumper is like this sort of beigey colour that I don't think we ever saw him wear in the show, which is literally like the most exciting the Doctor's costume's ever going to get, is a new colour jumper. And the 8th Doctor's coat, it's his Night of the Doctor outfit, it's actually blue rather than a sort of greeny colour, which I guess is interesting. I am wondering if maybe we are going to get some character options figures. They haven't announced character options as part of this event, so probably not. But then again, I don't really see what the point would be of giving them slight new costume variations, unless you were going to do a character option set. Especially as there's 3 new Daleks we've seen, so it kind of fits if you can do 3 new Doctor Dalek sets. Anyway, besides the point. Well, actually, no, that isn't beside the point. I guess we'll get to it. There's 3 new Daleks seen on the left. There's also loads of Dalek sources everywhere. But the 3 new Daleks, there's one that looks like it is from the original story. It's the body that they have in the Daleks and the Dalek Invasion of Earth, but we can't see the bottom of it, so I don't know if it has like that big black base that the Dalek Invasion of Earth ones have. And it's quite similar, apart from on the shoulder unit, it's got this sort of part of it which is really like bronze and looks like rusty and stuff. So I'm very interested to see that. I don't know if it's meant to be destroyed or something. But that's what I saw. I mean, there might also be other design details that are different, but that's the only thing that stood out to me. And then there's 2 other ones, which are the Bronze Time War Daleks. I don't know why we call them Time War Daleks, they're just modern Daleks. We see them all the time. In a new colour scheme, 2 new colour schemes. They both seem to have like a grey base, right? The sort of Genesis-y colour, that sort of Genesis colour, I guess, rather than the bronze. One of them has got blue spheres rather than, well, grey, and it's kind of like the Big Finish Daleks. If you've never seen, they did a lot of on the covers. They kind of made this Dalek design that they used for a lot of Dalek stories, and it's kind of the Big Finish design. I think some people know it as, where it's like it's sort of like the sort of grey Daleks that they used in the 70s and 80s, but they've got like bright blue spheres like they're like the original design. It's like that with the modern Daleks. It's grey, but it's got bright blue spheres. And then there's another version where it's grey, but it's got red. It's got red spheres, I think it's got a red shoulder section, possibly a red dome, like a sort of shiny red. So, yeah, that's 3 new Dalek variants. And we know the Daleks will be a somewhat decent-sized part of this story, because I feel like considering there's literally Dalek saucers all over the page, you know, you'd think Rose is in it. She's the only confirmed companion, and it's interesting. I think it's unclear. She is near the front. She's quite small compared to the three Doctors, but she's near the front. She is sort of closer to Tennant, but considering she has her Series 1 haircut and other information I'm going to get to later, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see her with 9 rather than with 10. And she's in a new outfit. They've always had to again have to Photoshop onto her. It's like a sort of Grecian kind of white robe that seems to have blood splatters on it. And I can't see how they can't be blood splatters because they're really randomly placed little like red dots all over it that couldn't be part of the design, I don't think. Also, I just want to point out, it's really like they do this all the time with Big Finish. They have to Photoshop like heads onto new outfits to give these characters new outfits to wear for the story covers. But this one, considering there's no real way to hide the sort of join from the neck to the arms, this is very well photoshopped. It looks like a picture of Billie Piper from 2005 wearing a sort of Grecian gown, so very well done, as if they put a lot of effort into that particularly. It also was humorous because someone on Twitter, a mutual on Twitter, like pointed out that the Doctor seems to be wearing his suit underneath the Gallifreyan robe. And maybe they just didn't have a good enough picture, like a good enough picture of Tennant face on without his suit on, because it does look a bit funny that he's got his shirt and tie underneath the Gallifreyan robe. What else is on the poster? We've got an Ood in a tuxedo, and that's also going to be that links again. I'm gonna get to sort of where this story takes place in a minute, and then the final thing that I pointed out is I put on Twitter. There's these ships on the right sort of top right corner above Eccleston, and I noticed I was like, well, those aren't Dalek ships. I kind of assumed they were Gallifreyan ships, but I don't recognise the design, so I sort of isolated them and put it on Twitter and was like, oh, does anyone know what these are? If you use the hashtag Time Lord Victorious, it's very easy to get a response on this subject. And basically, someone pointed out that they are Gallifreyan ships. They're specifically Gallifreyan bow ships, which are from when they were fighting the Great Vampires. And I think this might be the first time we've ever seen a 3D render of them, because the only other pictures I could find of them were like from comics and stuff, where they were 2D. So I think this might be our first 3D render of Time Lord bow ships. But that kind of really implies that we're going to get a lot about Gallifreyan history in this. And possibly the Great Vampires could be coming back. Possibly. It's not out of the question. However, I think they also used bow ships in the comic Supremacy of the Cybermen, and I'm pretty sure that the Great Vampires aren't in that. They could be, but I don't think they are. So it could just be they wanted to use a recognisable Gallifreyan ship design. Especially as if they're going to feature in the comics, they already know what they look like because they've been used in the comics. So that's all we knew just from the picture alone. But also on Doctor Who TV, if you look on stories, on the story section, what I find absolutely fascinating is Time Lord Victorious is on there. Now, I thought that was only reserved for actual TV stories. And there's no extended media on there at all. So to put Time Lord Victorious on there intrigues me, and does kind of give me hope that this is going to be treated like a not just a crossover event, like it's going to be considered on the level of an actual story. But it's between Waters of Mars and End of Time, which seems like a pretty good place to put it. But that is the main reason I don't think this Rose is going to be with the 10th Doctor along with her haircut, because obviously he isn't travelling with Rose at this point, and she's already sealed off in another dimension, so another universe, I mean. So there's no way. I mean, I guess she could be, because they're going to be dealing with alternate timelines in this story. I'm almost certain, so it could be, but I don't know. But in the press release, they mention that it's like this story is also set at the beginnings of the universe during the Dark Times when even the Eternals were young. So I think whatever race, because they talk about this new, they didn't say new, they said the sort of foe in this story will be a powerful race. And they didn't say if it was existing or if it's a new invention for this crossover. However, I'm going to assume they're going to have something to do with the Dark Times, So they're going to be on the level of like the Rachnos, the Great Vampires. They could be the Great Vampires. I don't know. And that is why I think it's going to be one of those things. I put this on Twitter where it's like someone changes this event and then it leads to everything else fucking up. This goes wrong and this goes wrong and this goes wrong. So that, then Tennant ends up becoming president of Gallifrey, and the Time War doesn't end. All these things. And I think that also the fact that it's between Waters of Mars and End of Time, to get back to that, also might explain why the Ood is present, because the Ood were a big part of the specials of 2009. I wonder if that could be Ood Sigma specifically. I don't know. It'd kind of be nice if it was. But I always loved seeing the Ood. I liked that it was, I think it was 2018. We just had a good year for the Ood for like Big Finish. There were 2 different box sets which had them in. And I just love me. I love me some Ood. But the slogan, I forgot, is, I can't remember the whole sentence, but it's like, oh, it's a whole new Time War, or I think a whole new Time War is like part of the slogan, which is a big sort of promise. It's basically saying this is Time War 2, this is like the second Time War, so that's why I'm kind of really interested to see what this is. I mean, it's a shame, because as it contains, like, the 10th Doctor going to Gallifrey, like, this isn't a spoiler, but what's going to happen at the end is what always happens in these kind of events, like in the Titan crossover comics, is it's going to be, at the end, everything's going to be erased, and nothing actually happened, and we're going to get back to the regular timeline. Which is disappointing, because I know that's going to happen off the bat. There's no stakes, because no one important's going to die, nothing game-changing is going to happen, and if it does, it's going to get reversed. But I am at least excited to see how big the scale is for this. Because a second Time War is an intriguing premise. I mean, also not as much, because we also know that the first Time War didn't result in either the Daleks or the Time Lords being destroyed. So the last Great Time War doesn't even have much meaning in the show anymore. But anyway, the companies involved, I'll finally get to that bit. There's a lot. There's Penguin, so there's probably going to be books, we'd think. Big Finish, so they could be doing a series or a box set or something, or lots of things. Which I feel like are kind of standard. There'll be Titan Comics, again, I kind of expect that. When we sort of figured out last night this is probably going to be like a multimedia thing, I was like, oh, I'm very intrigued. It's probably going to be books, audios, comics. Okay, great. Vinyls. There's going to be vinyls. Now, these could be vinyl versions of audio stories, of Big Finish audio stories that they're releasing for this event, which would be nice. That's great. I think some people, I've never had a vinyl. I don't think we've ever listened to a vinyl player, so I don't know. But I know some people like only listening to vinyls. So I guess I think it'd be cool if they did, if it's a box set or if it's multiple releases, you could get all of it on vinyl. I guess that's like a cute thing. But if there's actually unique stories exclusive to vinyl, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Vinyl exclusive stories will be interesting. I would assume if there are vinyl exclusive stories, they're not going to be too important to the overall story, because they're just not going to be as many of them. Like, they won't be, because not as many people have a vinyl player as they have a bookshelf to put books on, or as they have like a something to play downloaded Big Finish off of, or a CD player. Like, that, it's just whatever. But I think it'd be interesting, I guess, that's kind of a new thing. I don't think any franchise has probably had a vinyl exclusive story in the last 10 years, but like vinyl's making a comeback, what can I say? And then also there's going to be escape rooms. There's that escape room thing called Time Fracture that's meant to be coming out later this year. I saw someone saying, is this going to replace it? This, possibly, Time Fracture was always going to be part of this. But because it's an escape room, they have to announce it sooner rather than later, so you can buy tickets. So it could just be that Time Fracture was always meant to be part of this, or maybe Time Fracture is being changed to be part of this, or maybe I don't know, it just seems like considering this event is going to be from September to January, I feel like later this year is just the perfect sort of time. So I think Time Fracture is just what it's going to be. And it also makes sense because I remember the Cybermen and Dalek ones were like really specific. Like when they were announced, we knew exactly what they were. One of them was about the Cybermen, one of them was about the Daleks. But when they announced Time Fracture, all we know is that, well, the TARDIS is in it, because it's got a TARDIS in, and it's called Time Fracture, so there's going to be some sort of time antics. But that's all we know about it. So, and now that we know about this, like this sort of alternate timeline Gallifrey story going on with Time Lord Victorious, kind of makes sense, Time Fracture. Like, they also specifically said in the press release, like, the three Doctors will be defending Gallifrey. So, this is going to definitely be an alternate timeline set on Gallifrey. It's not just going to be a... And they, you know, found a Gallifreyan wardrobe, so put some Gallifreyan robes on, you know. That'd be a terrible story if they did that. But the escape rooms will be interesting. Again, I don't see the escape rooms having much story in. I think the escape rooms are just going to be set during the Time Lord Victorious storyline. Because anyone who's not from the UK won't be able to do them, and also escape rooms are limited and expensive. And then it turns out they're also going to be doing most likely a VR game because it's made by the same people that made Edge of Time. Which is just like, that's cool. And I think a lot of people are right, is that it's probably going to be DLC to the Edge of Time rather than its own game. It could be its own game, but I could also just see them saying, hey, you can download more, or you can pay for more, I don't know. And like, VR's the thing. Like, everyone's got VR games coming out, but I think people are still forgetting VR still isn't mainstream. Most people still don't have VR headsets, which are expensive. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe, unlike Edge of Time, they'll also do a non-VR version so you can actually still enjoy it. Because I think that'd be a shame. Like, the other ones, it's like, oh, you don't have the money, whatever, if you don't want it. But the VR game, I'm not buying a VR headset. Like, because I'm not going to use it apart from the Doctor Who. So, I literally cannot play these even if I had the money to, you know. So that's a shame, and that's one of the things that's going to really rack up the total of how much this is going to cost if you want everything. And then also, what was even more surprising is Igor Moss is a part of this, who does the figurine collection. So I was like, oh, so that kind of confirms they're going to also be doing special figurines for this event. And I think apart from the 13th Doctor figurine, which was kind of like made to coincide with the start of Series 11, like, they've never really done that before, where they've made figurines specially for releases, especially not extended universe releases. Like, I'm really intrigued to see what they do. I think the obvious ones would be to do the new Daleks, that Ood in a tuxedo would be nice. If they want to do a Doctor and Companion set, I guess even if Rose isn't technically... That's my thing. I mean, the obvious one would be do 10th Doctor in Gallifreyan robes and Rose in her new white dress, but I don't know. I don't know if that's meant to be maybe a Gallifreyan dress, like she's doing like a Natalie Portman from Thor the Dark World, where when she goes to Gallifrey, she just like goes, I'm going to wear this white dress, because why not? I guess that's why I think they should just do the character options. Hasn't been mentioned, so they're probably not going to do any action figures, but I just don't understand why. Like, it's just perfect. Literally, 8 and 9 and all the Daleks would just be repaints, and 10, you could just get a Time Lord figure you've made before, do a couple tweaks like the regular B&M sets, and then put a 10th Doctor head on top. So they really could easily make this. I'm not sure why they didn't contact character options, to be honest. So yeah, so now it's going to be, if you want everything, it's books, audiobooks, comics, escape room experience, vinyls possibly, VR game, figurines. I'm probably missing something. And obviously the figurines, especially, like, you don't have to get the figurines. They're not adding to the story. It's just a cute thing to go with it. Oh, also Doctor Who magazine's in on it. So there'll probably be a comic, an extra comic in the Doctor Who magazine. Probably for every issue that comes out during this event. So the 3 or 4 issues. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And I will tell you up front, I don't know if I'm going to be getting any of this stuff, because it's going to be expensive. Like, I like to get the Big Finish ones that are free or on sale, or just the cheapest ones. So even the Big Finish stories, I don't spend a lot of money on. So I'm probably not going to get anything from this event. I'm definitely not doing the escape room. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to be getting the VR game. I'm not going to be getting the vinyls. Probably not getting the comics, because all I have is one 8th Doctor graphic novel, one 8th Doctor volume that's just a load of comics pressed into a book. So I'm not a comic collector, and even that I just got from a friend and forgot to ever give back. So, and I actually don't have any don't really have any Doctor Who books left either, because I wasn't reading them, so I gave them away. I could maybe get the audio box set if it comes out, but like, it's gonna be expensive. I'm gonna just get my laptop out so I can see if I missed anything. Like, it's gonna be expensive. I'm not really biting at the bit to like get everything. So the only thing I missed out was this thing called Immersive Everywhere. That's like an immersive theatre experience. Jesus Christ. But to be fair, we should also keep in mind that all the in-person ones, like the Escape Hunt. Oh, isn't the brand called Escape Hunt? The escape rooms and any immersive experiences, whatever, might just get cancelled anyway because of the whole Corona thing. So, yeah, I'm not going to get anything for myself, because that's just not what I'm going to do. I think that my best chance is if they only do like one Big Finish box set rather than a huge amount of releases, and it's not too expensive, then, because I also won't be getting the physical copy, I will be getting the downloadable thing, then I might get that. I also think if you're like £250 is too much, then £250 is too much. Just get what you want. If you want everything and you can't afford it, that's a shame. But also, there's not going to be, not all these things will be multimedia events. There's also going to be loads of other Big Finish stuff they're doing, loads more Titan comics. Well, not loads, because they've like stopped doing all their series apart from the 13th Doctor, which is a bit weird. But there'll still be books coming out. There'll still be Doctor Who magazine. Like, you'll still be able to do other things. So yeah, just try and be positive. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm not getting my hopes up too high, especially as, like, let's be honest again, the storyline's just going to be completely undone by the end of the story, so who really cares? Hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't think it'd be as long as it was, but I had more to say than I thought I did. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys are well. I hope you're enjoying David Tennant still being one of the most pushed Doctors in all of the merchandise, despite not being the Doctor since 2013, and as a regular, not since 2009. Seriously, like, he was part of the Build-A-Bear thing, he was part of the Roblox thing. Literally, the 13th Doctor, I feel like, is only, like, in a comic series, when you get, like, what, one a month-ish, like, very early on, she's, like, the 13th Doctor comics have crossed over with 10. I'm just like, okay, that's a bit quick. Like, they really seem to be pushing the 10th Doctor with the 13th Doctor, and sometimes the 10th Doctor more so. But I guess that's just what we live in at the moment, so we're just going to have to deal with it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe. If you didn't, sorry about it. Please hit the bell.